Welcome to a new video. In this video we're going to be doing it in focus, and we are going to be looking at the Deeper products, in particular the Deeper Chirp, but I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the Deeper Pro Plus as well. Now, if you're interested in these type of review videos, then please subscribe to the channel, check out the social media below, and let's get into the video. So in this in focus, I'm going to talk about the Deeper, and in particular the Deeper Chirp. Now, they're quite a controversial bit of kit. Some people like them, some people don't like them. Personally, I obviously like them. I use one in my fishing. I think nowadays, in this modern age, technology can really help us with fishing. You know, bite alarms were brought out, people didn't like them. Now they're a given within carp fishing. And there's a lot of other stuff along the way which gets used, where technology is obviously given us, it's advanced so much, it's given us different options to be able to sort of make our fishing that bit easier, maybe that more effective. And I think the Deeper is one of those products that does sort of give you a little bit of an edge, and allows you to find spots without sort of crashing and banging a lead all around your swim. And after a couple of casts, you can get a good idea of what's in front of you, and you've not caused a huge amount of disturbance. Now, I use the Deeper Chirp, and here it is in its little neoprene bag. So it comes in a little neoprene bag, and it allows you just to be able to clip it onto stuff. Now, I clip it onto the side of my barrow. Just clip it onto one of the ring eyelets on the side of the barrow for like attaching your bungees to, and that way it's really easy to get hold of. When I rock up to the lake, if I decide I want to use it, I can easily just take it out, put it onto the spod rod, and have a few casts around with it. Now, I don't always use it. It is something that I just keep in my armoury. I find it better on smaller lakes where they're a little bit more intimate, and you can really cover some water with one of these on a small lake, and you can almost sort of map a very large area of the water out and give yourself a huge amount of information about what's in front of you. On bigger lakes, I think they're not as effective. You get a lot of side winds, you get a lot of movement in the water, where the Deeper is not always coming back perfectly straight. And although it gives you an indication of what's in front of you, I don't think it's as accurate as it is when you're fishing on smaller water. Now, I've been using them for a long time. I had a Pro Plus before this one, and then I've upgraded to the Deeper Chirp, and they've now got the Deeper Chirp 2 out, which is, I believe, got some upgraded tech in it. And personally, I found them to be really good. Now, the original one that I had, the Deeper Pro Plus, I had a few issues with that. I found it didn't retain the charge for very long, so when I was going out, a lot of the times I was going to use it and it had lost all its charge. I then pretty much didn't use it because I didn't want to mess around waiting to charge it up. I just got the lead out and started leading around. Also, the connectivity on it did cut out quite a bit, and the range was quite limited, I used to find, so it really was only good for sort of 50-60 yards. Anything past that, and it really did depend on the weather as to if you were going to get a good connection or not. And I did find when I was using it, it'd be out in the pond and it'd suddenly just cut out and lose connectivity. Now, when it did work, it was absolutely brilliant, but I used to find 50-50 it would work and not work, so it used to sort of drive me a bit mad, to be honest, and I didn't use it anywhere near as much as I would have. Now, since getting the Deeper Chirp, I find this is a whole lot better. This retains its charge, so far I've had this one for a fair few months. I've only had to charge it up twice, and that's just the second time was just to top it up because I wasn't too sure if it had dropped a little bit of juice. Connectivity wise, I've had it drop out signal once or twice, but nothing too worrying. It's always reconnected once it has dropped out, where it's maybe lost a little bit of the GPS connectivity or something like that. But generally speaking, it's been absolutely perfect, and it does what it says it will do. I find it seems to be a lot more defined, and by that I mean on the imagery you're getting back, you seem to have a little bit more detail than on the previous model, and that really does help with trying to obviously identify particular spots. Now, I'm not going to go into how to use one and what to look for when looking at a Deeper, because if you want to look at that, then there's obviously reviews out there where people really go into depth on how these work. I'm just giving you my point of view about whether it's worth the money, if it is a good thing to have. So in my opinion, it is a great bit of kit. Now, on the session today, we're on a little lake called Digger Lakes, and we're in a bit of a bay, myself and Hugh, and so when we started off we actually used this to quite good effect, and we cast it around several times in each swim, got a good idea of what was in front of us, realised it was quite weedy and there was a lot of low level lying weed, and so we decided straight away that we're going to use solid bags. That ended up paying off, as Hugh ended up having a fish after casting to one that had rolled, knowing that there was a bit of weed there. He put a solid bag on, and within a few hours we ended up having a fish on the bank. So it really did sort of pay dividends there, and I think probably gave us a bit of an edge in putting that fish on the bank. We've then used it to find other spots around the swims. Just walked around, gone on the far bank. We've even put it on the baiting pole and pushed the baiting pole out in between some of the trees just to check what's out in front of them, so that before we put some rigs and some bait there, we know that it's a spot we're fishing. Because although when you visually look at some of the marginal areas, they might look really good, you don't know what's underneath them. The water here is quite murky. So it's a great idea just to put it over the top with a baiting pole, just sort of draw it back a few times, have a look what's underneath, and then you've got an idea where you can present your baits. What we found is actually the slope which drops down for the margin was actually not where we thought it was going to be. It was actually a lot closer to the bank than we thought. So it meant that we ended up, if we wanted to fish on top of the shelf, we needed to fish really tight to the bank. Whereas if you went further out, where people would probably normally cast to when fishing to like an overhanging tree or something like that, you'd have actually been sort of halfway down the shelf. So we wouldn't have known that unless potentially we used a marker float and thrashed around in the swim a little bit. But by using the deeper, it just meant that we could obviously find that really quickly and know where to present our baits. But it's a great little bit of kit. I really do recommend it if you can afford to get one. It's definitely like a luxury sort of item, so you don't necessarily need one, but if you can afford to have one in your kit, then it's definitely a little good bit of product to have, and it definitely is a bit of an edge against people who possibly haven't got one. I've used it on some gravel pits where people don't think they've got very many features in them, or there's a known feature that people tend to always target, and then I've cast one of these around and realised that the whole swim is full of features, and so it's meant I've been able to fish on a completely different area which people normally wouldn't target, and actually pick fish off that way as well. So it is a great little bit of kit. I really recommend it, so check it out and give it a go for yourself. But hopefully you like this video. If you do, then remember to subscribe to the channel, check out all our social media shown at the bottom of the page below, and until next time, get out there and be lucky, and I'll see you again soon.